Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm at the Cybercrime Conference here in Earls Court, London, part of the IGE 2009 event. I'm here with Ed Gibson of Microsoft. Ed, thanks very much for joining us. You mentioned earlier that organised crime is going online. What kind of threats are they creating online, and where are they targeting?
Well, it's very interesting. In my capacity, in my prior life as a special agent with the FBI, having been assigned to the U.S. Embassy in London for 5.5 years prior to retirement from 2000 to 2005, it was increasingly evident that organized crime was far more active on the internet 12 to 18 months before I retired. And what we're seeing is far more targeted efforts to take what's important to you or me. Whether, in fact, it could be something as easy as family photographs.
Right.
But anything that is near and dear, but organized crime is always going to go where the money is. I mean, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Online gaming and that kind of activity is right, because that's what's it all about. It's about money. And but I've seen and people who monitor these kind of activities as well are seeing that organized crime has gone from going after the operating system or trying to attack software to easy pickings. And those easy pickings, unfortunately, have come back to be you and me and the average Joe on the street.
So they're more focused on the individual, and that's a result of that being the path of least resistance because of software getting more sophisticated, etc. So
Yes. In fact, that's exactly what's happened. A little bit of time before I joined Microsoft in July of 2005, Microsoft had engaged or embarked on a effort called Trustworthy Computing, which continues to today. And part of that is security development lifecycle, where in fact operating systems and applications are built from the ground up with security in mind. So security is built in by default and by design. As a result of that, it's much more difficult to break into those kind of applications built with that kind of structure behind them. So again, they've gone right back to you and me, farming, phishing, the easy things.
Yeah, and the sites where they're doing that, obviously online gaming, but also I guess some of the social networking, those kind of things.
Well, in fact, it's interesting you raise social networking, because I always ask my audiences to spend at least 10 minutes with their little people, and I don't care if the little people at home are 10, 17, or 27, or 77. Social networks are great. We can, it's nice to be catching up with our friends and relatives or people that we haven't talked to in a long time. But that said, there is not a social network site that you open up and it's private by default. So what that means is that when you open up a brand new site on any kind of a social network, it's open to the entire world. And why that is so critically important that people understand that is that let's say I'm a young person, but and mom and dad have moved away, and now I'm talking to my friends halfway across the world. Well, I might tend to say things. I might say what my address is, my phone number. I might put pictures up that, it's fine for me to show you in person, but it may not be appropriate online.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, there are people out there who are spending their livelihoods harvesting private details on social network sites
and exploiting that, and that's alarming. But how can that be combated? How is the onus on the social network? Is the onus on the Facebook or whichever other social network to actually inform people of that? Because to a degree, what they're trying to do is make it as easy entry as possible. They're trying to encourage people onto their networks and make that kind of login really simple, really fast. Is the onus on them, or is that government, or who should be telling the young people about this?
Well, it's no different online as it is in the real world.
Right.
For example, I drive a car. I have to have a license. I have to know a little bit about what I'm doing. And that's no different if I'm swimming. I know that if I'm swimming in a pool without a lifeguard, there may be a chance something happened, I'll have nobody to help me. But when you go online, for example, it's the same kind of thing, but the difference is that we haven't had those life's experiences with riding with mom and dad in the automobile to see how it's operated. Online, when you go online, it's like brand new when first time, and it's wonderful. But that said, there are certain precautions that you have to take, just as if you're walking down the street. Do you walk down a dark alley at 1 o'clock in the morning? in an area that may not be so sociable. And if that's a concern, well, same thing happens online. Take Second Life, for example, or other virtual worlds that cater to adults. And Second Life is www.secondlife.com. And what's been amazing about that is that has gone from I think something that we all wanted to see as being utopia. You know, we could build our avatars and we could be in a world that would be wonderful, and we didn't have to worry about things that are going on in the real world. Well, guess what?
It's as corrupt.
It's what's happening online is the same thing that's happening in the real world, and it's again common precautions. Are you engaging in activity that, would you tell Granny what you're doing on Second Life? If you wouldn't, don't do it on Second Life, because you're not going to do it in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge, isn't it? People see this thing of being detached somehow because they're operating through their keyboard, but you're right, if they could apply the same rules they're applying in real life online, maybe a lot of these potential problems, not just with cybercrime, but with grooming and other kind of stuff, wouldn't occur.
Well, that's true. In fact, in the current economic climate, the big concern, or a big concern, is that are employees worried about being laid off tomorrow? Am I going to have a job tomorrow? So if I'm working in an IT area, or I know somebody who is, and I know, or I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm not going to have a job next week, and something's happened at work, and by golly, now's the time I can get back at my employer. Now is the time that companies have to be far more vigilant, even more so than before, to make sure that something's not happening on their infrastructure. But that same thing goes, though, on the social network sites. It's very easy. Many companies say, go on the social network sites during your break or during lunchtime, because it's a great communications medium. But it's also very easy to not make that break from work to what you're talking about online. So if you're engaging in a merger and acquisition, or something to do very sensitive inside your company, it's all too easy to go on and talk to one of your good friends online and say, hey, look at what we're doing here, and what do you think about this? Well,
you wouldn't be doing that if you're outside, so you have to be much more careful, don't you? Okay, well, thanks for talking to me. Thanks for your time. It's been really interesting. Good luck with your presentation later, and hope we can speak soon.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
A lot.